You know what would be a great idea instead of a great theme song? Let's just play that Travis
every time.
Yeah, let's play that Travis Scott song. I get those goosebumps every time.
Alright, y'all, welcome back to Action Lag. This is episode 3 of our 5-episode, pilot series, I guess you can call it, coming out on November 11th, give or take, because we're irresponsible. And this one will be about Goosebumps.
Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop.
Boom, 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 boom. Sadly, that's not even in the fucking show, though. But we'll get into that later. So yeah, this new series that just came out on Hulu, I believe it is I wouldn't even say a continuation. It's more of a
spiritual successor.
Yeah, it's a new take on how the Goosebumps stories are told, I believe.
Yeah, it's Goosebumps, baby. It's R.L. Stine's classic books brought to life for a new modern audience.
They still use their original books and stories, but they kind of just, the way they do it is they're mashing them together, kind of in making each book go into one story. But even though each episode kind of tells each book's story by itself, I guess, because it doesn't have a huge weigh-in on the plot, but it does a little bit. So I mean, yeah, that's kind of how it is. It's hard to explain without. It's like an easy to understand show to follow. Like, it's not a hard concept to follow in the plot or anything, but it is hard to explain how they're doing
it. I'm sorry, what?
You know what I'm saying. Like, it's hard to explain how they're doing the show because, like,
well,
it's not that it's hard to follow when you're watching it. It's hard to explain how they're doing it.
All right, I like to think about it like that.
It's each book getting its own story, but at the same time, they're all blended together into the same story.
Okay, so basically,
you tell him.
Okay, shit, I'll tell him. All right, let me try to take a swing at this real quick. Y'all remember Goosebumps when you were a kid? You used to go to the library and you'd see like the cool covered books over in the kids section with like the monsters and stuff. Right? And each book, yes, of course, but each book was its own little adventure. You didn't have to read them in order. There wasn't a way to read them. You just picked whichever one was your favorite, and it was a nice little horror story all wrapped up in one little book, right? And usually that's how the Goosebumps story is told. It's an anthology, right? It's all basically horror stories that could take place in the same universe, but they don't really have anything to do with the next story. So, and that's what we're used to, back when the 90s, when like the kids Goosebumps, did you watch those when you were a kid, Shane?
You talking about like the original episodes?
Yeah, the 90s episodes. Did you watch those? Yeah. Right? Yeah, so each episode was its own story, and it didn't really, only ones that, had, part twos were, Night of the Living Dummy, and a couple of those, The Haunted Mask. But in this new modern retelling of the story, you'll see that they've taken away the anthology part of Goosebumps. Basically, this is like a Riverdale version of Goosebumps, where these kids are going through what would happen in a Goosebumps story, like Cuckoo Clock of Doom or Haunted Mask or the Say Cheese or Die, but they all still have an overbearing arc of its own original story, right? So it's no longer an anthology, but it's more so of like just a progressive television show. And honestly, I don't know how they're going to do more seasons of this. It seems like it's going to just be like a one and done kind of thing. But this is the new modern retelling of Goosebumps, right? This is how they're going to do it. They're no longer doing the anthology. They're going into an actual season-based, overarching story.
Oh, I could see them doing multiple seasons, because, I'm pretty sure this season is going to be like, it's like 10 or 12 episodes, I think. Which, if they feature a single book per episode, incorporated into the story, that's only 10 to 12 books, whereas R.L. Stein has way more.
100, right? There's like 100 different Goosebumps.
I could see them doing like a whole new story for a second season. Like, I don't think the second season will have anything to do with the first season. It'll be
let's hope.
Like an American Horror Story kind of thing. Each new season is its own story. But he'll use different books for the second story for the second season. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get what you're saying. Honestly, I hope they go with a more anthology style. Kind of like the old 90s ones, but like bump up the horror. Just bump up the horror, give it a little bit more juice behind the scares, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, I think if they took Goosebumps to full-on horror, I think it would be really good. But
it has potential.
Again, the first few episodes of this new Goosebumps, I think they actually did kind of go into horror a little bit. Like, the first episode definitely seemed like it was some horror.
Yeah, like the first like 2 episodes really, like, they felt pretty good. I mean, there is a lot of goofy shit.
There's
with this show.
Some goofy shit.
There's some really goofy shit in this show that it might draw you out of it. But, like, it gets wilder and wilder as each episode progresses so far.
There's definitely some goofy aspect, like you said, like, with, like, cringy acting. And, like, do you remember in episode 2, the haunted mask? This ain't a spoiler or anything.
Yeah.
But whenever they throw the mask in the water.
Yeah,
and her and her brother are like, they're like, go to hell! Go to hell! Go to hell! They just keep saying it over and over, talking to the mask, because, they threw it into the river or whatever.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed.
That part, I was like, okay, we get it. You don't like the mask? Please move on. I
was pretty disappointed with the whole haunted mask concept. That's one of my it's one of my personal favorite Goosebumps stories. Like, that one really scarred me as a kid.
But I like how they did the new mask, but I don't like the story they did with the new mask.
Oh yeah, it was
kind of lackluster.
Well, it was short and it wasn't really like spread out. I thought there was going to be more to it. They kind of just like that one was kind of just like meh, like versus the other ones that actually had more significance to the plot. The mask story is just very there's no tension to it. Like, it ends very quickly. They just kind of like set it to the side and move on. Which, honestly, I thought that would be like the scariest one, right? Be like a mask that you can't take off, and it like mutates you and makes you look scary and gross and creepy. Like, is.
If I'm going based on how I've been doing previous episodes, and I'm going to continue doing it this way, I got my pros and cons, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's ties into one of my cons that I wrote down is I don't like how it seems like some of the episodes, which each episode, I'll just let you all know that each episode is titled one of the Goosebumps books. Like, it'll say The Haunted Mask was episode 2. But what I don't like is that some of the books / episodes seems like they got more of a tie-in to the actual story than others did. And The Haunted Mask is a good example. The Haunted Mask episode was really kind of like...
lackluster.
Like, it was like not as good as I wanted it to be. Whereas the very first episode, Say Cheese and Die, it was really like way better than the second episode.
Honestly, I even liked Cuckoo Clock of Doom. I liked that
Cuckoo
episode
Clock
too.
Of Doom, like they really went in deep with the theme of the book for the episode.
You can tell where they spent their budget.
Yeah, the theme of the book Haunted Mask, they didn't really execute that episode very well. Like, it was kind of boring, that episode was.
Yeah, it was a pretty shitty subplot. I mean, it started off good, like giving like the inner desires of this girl and making her kind of like act out, but then it just like fucking just nosedives right at the end and it's over.
And the couple of times she acted out with the mask, she didn't even like do anything that crazy.
Yeah, she only did it twice.
She went into her own home and broke some shit and scared her brother. That's like the worst thing she did.
That's not even that bad of a story.
It's really not that bad. Like, I was like, man, that episode is kind of lame. Like, especially after the first episode being so good. The first episode is actually probably my favorite episode.
I liked Cuckoo Clock. I think that one's really good.
Yeah.
The kid who plays that guy is hilarious. I like the concept of the time travel, the time loop. You don't know how. I guess you can tell how many times he's been through it with how many clones he has, right? But like, it's a cool concept that they played with. They fleshed that one out a lot more than they did definitely the Haunted Mask.
A thing I do like that the show does
What?
is at the end of each episode, they like give you a little like sneak peek scene of the next episode.
Oh yeah,
Like,
cliffhanger.
Yeah. They like leave you on a cliffhanger, like at the end of the first episode, where she shoots that pool ball and like just makes that kid explode into like a bunch of yolk.
Yo, that shit that shit actually got me. I was like, what the fuck? I had no idea that was coming.
And then that leads into the next. Actually, that wasn't the first episode. I think that was the end of the second episode.
Second episode.
Yeah. And then that leads into the third episode being Cuckoo Clock of Doom.
Yeah, and then the next episode.
The next episode.
Go eat worms.
Starts at the cliffhanger scene. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I like some of these concepts that they're doing. Like, definitely the worm eating one. That one kind of grossed me out. I don't like people eating like gross stuff, so that one kind of bugged me. But
I mean, that's a good thing though. It's supposed to give you goosebumps.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. And honestly, I would say that this is like a good show for kids. Like, I wouldn't say not very young kids. I would say more like the ages like 12 and up.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but that actually segues me into one of my cons.
Oh yeah, what's that?
It seems like this show was written to target like a younger audience, or like a younger like Z Generation Z audience. But that doesn't make sense to me because the Goosebumps books were popular with quote unquote older generations, like when we were kids.
No, I think they're still popular today. I feel like I would hope.
Yeah, but not really. Like they were super big in the early 2000s.
Huge. Like, I mean, everywhere. Late 90s, I remember seeing them everywhere.
Yeah, whereas like the targeted audience for this show wasn't even born at that time.
Yeah, right.
So it doesn't make sense to me that they're writing it this way. But
I don't know. They could have made it more adult. Yeah.
They should have targeted the correct audience. I don't think they did. That's one of my cons.
Yeah, it's a nice little successor, and maybe kids will they'll read the books. Maybe that's kind of like a reason why they made this for the kids.
Just trying to get them into the books. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and hopefully they do, because I think this is a great little bridge. Any time a kid can get into the horror genre, it's a little bridge that pulls them in, because this was my first experience with horror. It was Goosebumps, right? Going to the library, picking out a book, and then reading it. Now you get to see it up on the big screen. You get to see high budget, and honestly, I think it's pretty good. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best, right? There's a lot of modern jive that you'll hear from these people, and it's gonna date itself. It's gonna date itself just with the way they talk and the way they act and do things. But I think it's pretty solid. I wouldn't say it's amazing. It's not the best thing ever, but for a solid remake for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even though I would prefer the anthology way, I still feel like they did the story blending, mashing all the books together. I still think it was done, not bad.
Well, another thing is by the time this episode comes out, there's only been 6 out of the 10 episodes. We have not seen the whole season yet. I want to make that clear.
This is basically the show's halfway done.
Yeah, and so far I like what I see. I hope that it bumps up the scares, because every episode it just seems to get a little more cheesy.
And less scary.
Yeah, a little less scary, a little bit more ridiculous.
The horror aspect of the very first episode, Say Cheese and Die, was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I thought that I was hoping the whole show was going to go that way, and they had like the CGI of all the fire and stuff. That's actually one of my pros, is that the CGI in the show's done pretty well.
Yeah, the visual effects are great.
So, I mean, you can tell the show, it doesn't have a high budget, but it doesn't seem like it has a low budget either. And I think with that, having CGI done well is a big pro. So
yeah, for sure. You know, there is one
a big pro that makes the show really good.
I was about to say my big pro is the character Justin Long, dude. Anything Justin Long touches is fucking gold. It's so funny. Bro. He is so funny, dude. Like, even when he's like, he really like dove into this character, bro.
He really did.
Like, both characters that he kind of plays two characters. Like, off the rip, he plays like, you know, the English teacher, the dorky English teacher. Seems like a cool dude, right? He's like, yeah, it's okay, you know, you kind of broke into my house and partied it up, but I won't tell anyone if you don't. You know, he seems like a cool guy. And then he starts playing this, like, possessed version of himself that's possessed by, like, this ghost.
The main antagonist, yeah.
Yeah, the main antagonist of the story. And he plays him pretty good, too. I mean, like, he's just creepy. You know that he, like, totally dove in, full commitment to this role.
Especially
and I love
when
it,
he was
dude.
First, like, transitioning into being possessed. And he
was,
yeah. His original self is, like, fighting the possession.
Yeah, he's, like, walking down the hallway, like, he's tweaking out.
Yeah, he's kicking lockers and stuff.
Yeah. Like, dude, I'm telling you, man, anytime that Justin Long is on screen, I always had a smile on my face. It was just good entertainment. He really knocked it out of the park. And hopefully there's more of him in it.
Oh, like, I'm sure there will be.
Dude, his haircut is fucking ridiculous.
You gotta still love him, though. I mean, it's Justin Long.
It's Justin Long. And hey, man, dude, anything when Justin Long's in a horror movie, it's pretty much good.
And I actually I like the story of the show too. You know, because you know they obviously had to write it a certain way to make all the books tie in together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the story is actually pretty good. How the main antagonist is basically Freddy Krueger, like you said earlier, but not really.
Yeah, he's like Freddy Freddy Krueger. He even wears red and green, dude. It's like, come on.
He got trapped in his house in like the 60s or 70s, whatever it was, and he got burned to death. So he's like haunting this house, and a bunch of items that are in the house, he's, you know, haunted, like, you know, like the mask that he liked. And
yeah, all these kids like pick up
camera.
Something.
He was a photographer, so that ties into the say cheese and die. And I just think it's written pretty well, the story, and he basically wants to get revenge on the people that trapped him in this house.
Yeah, it's Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's what's happening in modern times. He's getting revenge.
It's straight up Nightmare. About. It's straight up Nightmare. Let's not lie. It's Nightmare on Elm Street, dude.
He's Freddy Krueger without being Freddy Krueger.
I mean, he sometimes looks like Freddy Krueger at some points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of.
Like Jesus. Hey, dude.
Well, I wouldn't say he looks like Jesus, but
no, I mean like Jesus. He looks just like Freddy Krueger. Jeez. But dude, the kid who plays the bullied kid, the main antagonist. At first, you like him, and then later on you realize, like, yeah, he kind of deserves to be bullied.
Yeah, he's kind of a weirdo.
Yeah, I mean, who keeps worms?
Yeah, he just collects worms and keeps them. He's a photographer and takes pictures of like really weird stuff.
These are my worms. They love me 5 times more because they have 5 hearts. How many hearts does a husky have?
I kind of have a theory though.
Huh?
I think that Lucas kid, his dad is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And yeah, he's supposed to be that dirt biker guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think that dirt biker guy is his real dad.
Uh-huh.
I think his real dad is Harold, the guy that got burned to death. Because that Lucas kid is not right in the head either.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
And he also, likes to collect worms and eat them.
Bro, dude, this kid, dude, his intro.
I think he's the bastard child
he is definitely
of the main antagonist.
I doubt that is true. That's a great theory, but you are right about the Lucas kid. I mean, the first shot you see of this guy, he's jumping off of like a roof and cracks his head against the pavement, coughs up blood, and he's like, "I'm okay, dude, I'm okay." He's all messed up. Like every time you see this kid, he's either hurting himself or like trying to be cool. Like by like doing stunts, and geez, man, he's not very bright, and it's kind of annoying. Like anytime he's on screen, I'm kind of like, ugh. I honestly didn't like the character. I think they could have portrayed him a little better.
Yeah, and I mean, aside from the bad acting or bad characters, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this might be like kind of biased, towards being, a quote unquote older generation than the targeted audience, but it's more of like a what's the word, nostalgia thing. But I'm pretty mad that none of the episodes, and you guys heard it, us do it in the intro, none of the episodes have the original Goosebumps theme song. I was really, really expecting it, at least in like an intro or some credits or something.
Playing in the
background. I haven't heard it once, bro. I'm so mad.
Dude, like hearing it in the background on a TV or fucking just like on the radio or something, just like a little Easter egg would have been nice. Somebody's fucking cell phone ringtone.
There's no way no one thought of adding it to the show.
Bro, you know what they did think of, though?
They're cucking us, bro. They're cucking us.
You know what they did think of, though? They were like, you know what would be a great idea instead of a great theme song? Let's just play that Travis...
every time.
Yeah, let's play that Travis Scott song. I get those goosebumps every time. Oh, my God. Bro,
Yeah, dude, that fucking song started playing at the end of the first episode, and I literally got mad, bro. Because I was actually expecting the OG theme song, and then this fucking Travis Scott comes on.
Yeah, Travis Scott. I get those
I literally
goosebumps every
got
time.
mad. I actually got mad.
Dude, that's the one thing this show is missing, is a great intro. We need the classic Goosebumps
or some
song.
kind of soundtrack, because like...
Well, the soundtrack is funny, dude. They got, like, Billie Eilish, they got fucking Smashing Pumpkins.
The Smashing Pumpkins was good.
Yeah, they got some good bangers, but, like, it's just... why haven't they did some original music, right? I was hoping for the Goosebumps. Reader beware, you're in for a scare kind of stuff.
They at least titled an episode that, though. Reader
beware.
Yeah.
But, like, come on, man.
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
Where's the golden retriever with the glowing cat eyes,
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Hell yeah. The fucking golden retriever. Carrying that ball.
Oh my God,
the
dude.
Nostalgia, bro. They missed it.
Here's a weird little trivia fact about the old Goosebumps, the superior Goosebumps. Did you know that it was the acting career debut of two really important actors? Number one,
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Number one is Ryan Gosling, right? Ken, the Sith Lord Darth Vader himself, Hayden Christensen.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is.
That guy, the you turned against me! I hate you!
But yeah, man, I was just so sad they didn't incorporate any nostalgia moments of the... They didn't tip their hat to the OG Goosebumps.
Yeah,
not once.
Not once. Where the hell's R.L. Stein, like, playing a janitor, coming out of the closet and being like, "Hey, you better watch out. It's real messy over here." He's not even nowhere to be seen. No cameo. R.L. Stein and this big wart on his head is nowhere to be found.
They could have made R.L. Stein the new Stan Lee, bro.
The cameo king. He could have been old janitor Jenkins. Just The cuckoo clock. Woo! A lot of fucking egg yolk. Better clean all this stuff up.
Yeah, a lot of egg yolk.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, what would you give the show as a rating?
All right, so my final synopsis of what I think this show is. I think it is solid. I think it is a fun thing for younger adults, 12 to 13. It's probably spooky for them. If they're not really into horror, it's a good intro to like spooky concepts. But I would not recommend this for anyone that's like super hardcore horror. It's pretty boring. It's a lot of Riverdale bullshit. I would give this show a 6.5.
Nice. That's exactly what I would give it. It's a 6.5.
A 6.5. It could be a 7.
Now,
I'm giving it opportunity to become a 7 if it gets better on. If the next episodes are good, it could go up. But as of right now, at the halfway point, 6.5.
I would agree, and I would say also I would give it a 7 or a 7.5 if it gets better. But I would also give it a 7 or a 7.5 right now if the characters were at least written better to where it wasn't like... Because I feel like just lately, modern portrayals of high schoolers has been nowhere near to realistic.
Yeah, it's fake.
And it's just like lame. So if the characters were written a little better, I would give it a 7.5, 7 right now. But they're not, so I'm at 6.5. Hell,
I'd give it a 7 if they just gave it a good theme song.
Yeah, throw in the OG theme song, 7, right there. But yeah, if the show gets better, though, I'd bump it up to a 7.
Honestly, hey, if they make more of this after this, I hope it succeeds because it is fun. But I hope that after this season, they ditch the overarching story and they go straight Goosebumps. There's so many episodes that they can do, and if they just bump up the horror, it would be great. Just bring back Goosebumps is really what this episode should just be titled. Bring back old Goosebumps, damn it.
I think that even though it has like a new modern twist to it, and it mashes together the multiple books, I still feel like the show still feels like Goosebumps though. So
yeah, it's solid. 6.5.
It's good enough to where I'd recommend it. I mean, it's not a waste of time to watch.
Yeah, show it to your teens. Show it to your kids. It's fun.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we will call it here.
Yeah, I think that's enough. That's all I got to say about this show.
And unless something crazy happens later on, because it's a little bit shorter of an episode because it's only half of a season of a TV show. So
yeah.
But we wanted to touch on it because it both hits me and Neil in the nostalgia aspect, and Goosebumps brought horror into our lives when we were young kids. We're both big fans of horror.
Yeah, it's my favorite genre.
And it's October, we felt like we should touch on it because it's a new show that just came out. So, but yeah, we'll cut it here, and I
hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked it, tell us about it. Email us at actionlag@gmail.com.
Yep. Or obviously join our Discord. It'll obviously be linked on multiple spots. Join it if you want. And we'll see you again in episode 4.
Kick ass.
Until next time, y'all.
Peace.
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the Heimlich. Throw that to the side.